back to INEC. That I think that it has to do with what we are talking about now. Barrister, okay, we'll start with Shegun. INEC, we read, I don't know if any of you read the news. I read that INEC has come up with 122 recommendations to improve elections. When I read this, I said, what? Not one, not two, not three, not 10, not 20, 102 recommendations. I've not gone through those because the headline alone is offensive to me. So I didn't go into the details, sort of. But because I was wondering, what are we doing here? Did we just is our electoral body just is our electoral body a newborn baby? Did we just start with this? Is this our first time? This is something we started since 1999. For God's sake, over 20 years, about 25 years ago, and at this point in our democratic system, in our electoral system, you mean we still I don't know what have we been doing that at this point in our electoral system we have about 102 recommendations. That is overwhelming to me. That is I don't know what those recommendations are, but to have up to 102, it means that automatically we have to overhaul it. We definitely have to. We just have to shut down what we have now and create something new. If we have 102 recommendations, and besides, the one we have already on ground, what did we do with it? What have we done with it? What the system we have, the laws, the electoral laws, what have we implemented them? We have not. All we have done is to circumvent these laws. All we have done is to demolish this law, bulldoze these laws to suit our purpose. All we have done is to shove these laws aside, and 2023 presidential election can never be overemphasized. That was a mess in our system. That was a time that we could have INEC could have gotten it perfect. That could have been the best. That could have been the best electoral process in the 25 years of its establishment. But what happened? Mahmoud Yakubu, sorry. Mahmoud Yakubu sold Nigeria out to Tinubu and his cohorts. And unfortunately, this same Mahmoud is still there. Anyway, it's not a surprise, but I thought honestly to be able to give I was expecting Tinubu to be smart, being a smart man that he is, to be smart to actually relieve this man of his appointment by agreement, calling him, yes, you have collected this money, you are so rich. Just inform me you have to go. You have to go so that at least we'll be able to regain our image. Make we regain that image small at least. But no, because sometimes that's smart people behave foolishly. They think they are being smart. So because of that foolishness, they decided to leave to still allow Mahmoud to continue as a chairman. Under normal circumstances, no smart men don't do that. You could have expected him to relieve, at least to attract a little, at least an iota of credibility, an iota of, so okay, I have repented, I want to do the right thing, an iota of validation, a sort of. But no, they decided to leave this man. Who knows? Probably he will remain there up to another more, whatever, up to, I don't know, his term is supposed to be 5 years. I don't know what he has spent so far. I don't know if his second term can, by law, will get up to 2027. If it will get up to 2027, then definitely what do you expect? With the kind of Tinubu, as desperate as he is, he will let him be, because he is there to play ball. Mahmoud is there to play ball. So back to the point. What I don't, Shegun, please, What's your thought on this crazy 102 recommendations from the same corrupt INEC chairman? What has INEC been doing all these 25 years that at this point in our system, we have up to 102 recommendations?
Oh, well, it's quite unfortunate. Each time that I keep talking about this and I keep referring back to our laws, but it seems you don't agree that our laws are faulty because, and again, not just because our laws are faulty, the people who operate these laws don't seem to be interested in making them work, especially wherever it's going to tie their hands and make them do what is right. And that's why we keep having all of these problems. You were talking about removing Jega, but at the same time, we're arguing here about what Wike can do. The reason why somebody like Wike can boost is because there's somebody like Jega there.
Not
and
Jega,
you see,
Mahmoud Yakubu.
Mahmoud Yakubu. There are so many allegations that are against him, not just his recommendations. You can see clearly that what the man is trying to do is just create a bulwark, create a problem, create a situation where people would stumble and fall. Then they will tell you, because there is this recommendation that has been looked at by some certain law somewhere, and that's one of the reasons why this cannot, that this is not applicable or this cannot happen. It is only in Nigeria. Yes, there is room for improvement. Whenever you find any faults, you look at those things and find a way to make them seamless, make them work. But in a situation where you have, you are in Nigeria and you have this kind of situation that we have, we all know that all of these things are created just to create a problem for whoever it is that is going to either contest or whoever has an idea of what they want to do to make things progress and move forward. All of these laws, I can tell you, all of these recommendations, I can tell you, are just put there as stumbling blocks. Before you know what is going on, it will get to a particular point, they will find out that some of these things can be used against them. Then you will see the senators proposing some kind of bills or moving some kind of motions that would make some of these things become problems. So it is usually the interpretation of all of these recommendations that become a problem to us. The ones that we have, like particularly the one where he went to the Chatham House, where he spoke about giving us results electronically. He explained, because he was told to explain in layman's terms how this will be done. And he explained that you'll be seeing your results in real time. Unfortunately, he was a person who went to court alongside APC and arguing against other political parties why those results cannot be given in real time. As a matter of fact, he went on to tell us that the server was hacked by some certain people after telling us that what they have is unhackable. So you see, some of these recommendations are not just there because people want to improve, not just because they don't want to improve, because they want to create a problem. And I keep saying this, I don't think it is right for you to have an electoral umpire who has done so badly. You know, let us say maybe no court anywhere has said that, okay, look, what this man has done so far is bad. Let us look at the feelings and the yearnings of Nigerians. If you ask the average Nigerian on the street, they will tell you, Yakub Mahmoud should have gone. You just said it here, that this is somebody that should have either resigned or be removed. But you see, we still have the same person who is going to pretend over elections as it is, hopefully into 2027. So where is the hope there? So those recommendations are just there to just say, okay, look, I am here as the chairman of INEC, and these are the rules, and these are the things that I think should be done. And of course, because those things are there, somebody will look at them and say, okay, look, how can we sabotage all of this? How can we make this work? Of course, they will sit with him. Whatever it is that they need to decide will be decided. Ordinarily, such a person should have been removed so that another person will come. But of course, whoever is coming will still work with whatever they find on ground. Do we have a solid law guiding the INEC? If we don't have a solid law, how do we make the kind of law that will make INEC function independently of whoever is the president or whoever is in charge of whatever it is in Nigeria, and make them truly independent? If you ask me, I think it is possible. It is doable that we have not just recommendations, we have laws that are guiding INEC itself, that will make the INEC chairman responsible to Nigerians, not responsible to whoever elects him and puts him there. So some of these recommendations are just stumbling blocks to ensure that at the end of the day, whatever it is that they are doing, either legal or illegal, comes to pass.
All right, thank you so much. Sometimes I forget that you are a journalist, but when I listen to you, it reminds me, after all, it's a journalist. So you actually speak like a journalist that you are. So I can understand that, because you still think that Nigeria is just a place where system advice, that it's a place where system will be allowed to work based on advices or suggestions or whatever. Unfortunately, our leaders are just there for personal gain. They will just do what suits them. That is the raw truth. Barrister, yes, we have, just like Shegun said, there's always room for improvement. But the room for improvement, does it mean that the improvement, does it require up to 102 to implement the implementation of 102 recommendations? And besides, where have this? I don't know if you understood my concern here. 102 recommendations. Then obviously it means that the entire system will have to be overhauled. It has to be overhauled completely. A sort of, because 102, this is a system will be running for 25 years. Do you think that that the system still requires about 102 up to 102 recommendations to be a perfect system?
Well, right from the word go, let me tell you that this is an attempt at distraction. We have no problem with the current Electoral Act. We have had successive electoral laws, 2006, 2010, 2020. And even the 2020 was, an amendment was made to it at a point. Now, cast your mind back to the enactment of the 2020 Electoral Act. There was total euphoria in Nigeria about that act. Both political actors and observers felt that, yes, we have finally given ourselves a near perfect electoral law that we run our elections. And this was shown even from INEC officials, including Mahmoud Yakubu, in conferences, in press statements, everywhere. He projected confidence in the process, and Nigerians bought into it. Everybody was euphoric that at last his vote will count. At last, some of those synergies that used to be done during elections will not be able to be carried out. What happened when the election actually came? Are Nigerians confident of that elections? Of course, the confidence was shattered overnight on the day of the elections. The problem remains not the Electoral Act, but the protagonists, the politicians and the INEC. We can bring further amendments, 1,000 amendments to that act. But if the mindset of the operators of that act and the politicians is not changed, we will still have the same problem like we had in 2023, like we have had before in other elections. And we will never come to the point where we will have sufficient confidence that our electoral process has delivered the will of the people. So even without seeing the supposed points or amendments that they want to make, I can tell you that I have absolutely no confidence in the electoral process, in the people who are there, and in the supposed amendment, because it is not the amendments that is the issue. Of course, in every process, you can tinker with the process here and there, just a few processes. But if you do not have a mindset of delivering on the wishes of the Nigerian people. If you are perceived, and don't forget, there is an issue of perception here, rightly or wrongly. If the citizens, if Nigerians perceive that process not to be fair, the perception of it, even if the process is fair, if the perception of it by the majority of Nigerians is that the process is not fair, the process cannot deliver. Because the people don't have confidence in. And we will not get to the point where the people will have confidence in their elected leaders because they do not have confidence in the process that brought them to power. So let's look at, I would have wanted even a judicial commission of inquiry look into the 2023 elections, examine the actions of the officials of INEC. But of course, you know that will not happen because the people who are running the show are the beneficiaries of that process. So they do not have any incentive to do that. When late Yaradua came to power, he was humble enough to acknowledge that the system, the electoral process that brought him to power was not fair. And he set about trying to mend it, trying to repair it. Unfortunately, he didn't live long enough and he was not strong enough to carry it into fruition. So what are we talking about? 100 and something issues to tinker in the electoral process. We don't need that. What happened? Why don't we have an inquest? Or what happened in the last election in broad sense that Nigerians will see before you can start talking of any tinkering with the process? What happened and why do we now need these 100 and something amendments? Where are the answers? Why do we need them? What happened to that process and why is it now necessary to bring these amendments? So I have absolutely no confidence in what INEC is saying. I repeat, it is a distraction. They did the distraction in 2023, assuring Nigerians that the electoral process has been firmed up, has been secured, is going to deliver. Why we took confidence and we all came out to vote. They were doing something on the ground and delivered on what they want. Now we are trying to go into the next cycle of election 2023, and they have started again to divert our attention and claim that they are going to amend the Electoral Act. Now, let me tell you that this thing you have started hearing, you are going to be hearing it until towards the election, when possibly they will now start packaging an amendment to submit to National Assembly to pass, to give some major. That is all a distraction on how to deliver confidence in that at all.
All right. Yeah. Now the truth, that's exactly. You just made the point that actually expatiated on my thoughts. Now, honestly, 2023 election process. That process, if we had allowed it to work, that would have been very, very perfect. Now, what we have for what we use for 2023 election, if we had allowed it to work, and it was going to be a perfect result, a sort of, why do we have to have, all we needed was probably, if there are any recommendations, should be few other recommendations just to straighten it out. But for us to have 100, that 120 is driving me crazy. 120 on the system that was almost a perfect system in 2023, if not for the corruption that was Mahmoud Yakubu applied to the system, a sort of. So that is a problem. 120, just like Barrister said, is a distraction as far as yes, I agree with him. As far as I'm concerned, it's a distraction. And it's a ploy again to actually drive us towards a different direction, just like Mahmoud tricked us tricked us into believing and having confidence in the system that we're going to have a very perfect election in 2023, only to just take off the carpet from off our feet, sort of, and took everyone by surprise, because we all gave it all the confidence or whatever, and they just went through back door and pull the rug off our feet. That's exactly, I think it is the same, just like Barrister alluded, that it is the same, that's the same process they are trying to employ here, unfortunately. So let's, I don't know if, okay, Barrister is back. I don't know if, Shegu, if you have anything to add to this, let's hear, otherwise we'll move to the next topic, please.
All right, what Barrister said is true, 100%, and I would like to add just 1% to it. That, you see, all of these things, the reason why we see some of these things happen is because we, as Nigerians, don't take action. There was a time that on Twitter, people were calling for the head of the INEC chairman, that it should be removed. We have a Senate who represents us. Unfortunately, because they also got there fraudulently, none of them was willing to do anything about it. And they were saying that he should be given a chance. For goodness sake, this is a man who went before the world and promised us heaven and earth. You said it here rightly, that we all gave it the confidence and thought, oh, this is going to be different from what we had before. But you see, some of these people, I don't know what it is that they think about when they commit these crimes. Because as far as I'm concerned, what they're committing is a crime.
Yeah.
It is a crime for you to look at something that is a law and you subvert it just because of what you're going to put in your stomach and what you're going to put in your pocket. Now, when you accuse these people of doing wrong, they come after you. And unfortunately, you find some Nigerians, because they feed from some of these people who are politicians who've benefited from these corrupt practices, they come after you and put you in court and start to embarrass you. You see, we need to be thorough and true in this country. And unless we do that, no matter how beautiful, no matter how angelic, no matter how heavenly that the law is, these people, as long as they are appointed by the people who are corrupt themselves, will corrupt that particular law and subvert the system and mess the entire system up. Until we demand equity and justice, until we demand what is right and good, it is going to be very difficult to get out of this. As a matter of fact, I keep telling people, whatever it is that you see that the INEC chairman or anybody anywhere that is in position of leadership tells you, take it with a pinch of salt. Always think about an alternative to what it is that has been given to you. If the man is telling you we are going left, look towards the right if there are no arrows positioned to fire you when you go left. If the man is telling you to go up, look down if there is no hole behind underneath your feet to make you sink. Because some of these people are just there, no matter the promises, even if they swear with the holy books, even if they come out naked and they swear with whatever it is that they worship, they will still find a way to subvert the law. And it is quite unfortunate. Unless we as a people stand up as one, not as political parties, not as the judiciary, not as the executive, not as JIBRIN, not as Shegu. Do you understand me now? Until you stand up with a united front and say, look, this is what we want and this is how we want it done. Like if you follow some of the elections in some states, like in Kano State, for example, let us use Kano State as an example. The NNPP, all of the people who were stationed at polling booths ensured that they got their result sheets, they escorted the results to the collation center and slept there. It is unfortunate that we have to follow election results to collation centers for us to be sure that what will be given is what was written down and what was collected. It is quite unfortunate. In about 2 editions of your program here, we discussed what happened in South Africa, where as you vote, it is written there on an electronic board. People can see it on their phone. There are applications where you can follow the results and know where you are as a voter, and know the percentage of people who are voting from a particular region, and be able to tabulate and see where the election is going.
Yeah, I think that was what Mahmoud wanted to do now. That was what he promised to do, promised us in 2023.
Yeah, that was what he promised. But unfortunately, the man lied. And nobody is holding him accountable to that. I would have expected the man to have been sued to court on behalf of Nigerians and Nigeria for lying.
Yeah, Barrister, can we do that? Oh, that's a good thought. Barrister, please. Yes, can a Nigerian, an average Nigerian do that?
Well, when you want to go to court, there is a relief that you are claiming that the court should grant. So there are various technical issues, things like local standard, that's your ability or your status to sue in a certain things. So Nigeria is trying to sue Professor Yakubu. We run into several technical issues. So let's discount that for the moment. The person or the way he could be held accountable is by the appointing authority, one. And secondly, if there are obvious criminal issues that are identified, easy to identify, it can be proceeded against with. But again, by the powers that be, most of whom are beneficiaries of that process. So you don't expect that accountability to come from them. Now, there is an issue that we have glossed over as a country and as a people. We came from a place where this former Western education was brought to us, and we came to respect people who acquired professorial status. The average thinking of any Nigerian, including the leadership, is that a professor was a very knowledgeable person. Yeah. So they used to go to the universities and pick professors to appoint. That is a very wrong mindset. What the professor is being brought to do is management of men and materials. It's different from an academic work that you are doing in the university. We have to understand this very, very well, and it has caused us a lot of problems. We see government, particularly it was a drawback from the military government. They will go to university, pick a professor, give him an appointment, in the understanding that the professor has a lot of knowledge. But they fail to understand that you are bringing the professor to manage men and materials. And somebody who has been doing that, who does not even have a degree, may be far better at managing the men and materials than that professor. The professor who is teaching students, haranguing them, whose students that do not have the ability to challenge him academically, is brought to the field to carry out administrative work of managing resources, men, and materials. That's a different ball game, and they struggle a lot. I see that in my profession. I'm a practicing lawyer over 4 decades. Professors come from the school and try to practice, and they mess up. It's a whole new ball game for them. They come from the university where they have been teaching students, and then you see them in the court struggling to file pleadings, to file papers, because they have not been doing that on the practical level. So we have to stop this habit of believing that if you bring a professor, the professor will just deliver immediately on the work we do. We have to relate it to the work we are bringing him to do. Does he have experience in organizing people, in organizing men and distributing materials, in apportioning resources? That should be our determining factor in making appointments. Of course, there are certain fields that has a difference. If you bring a professor of medicine to carry out a medical district, that is a different issue. Yeah. But let's understand that governance, just like the president is not a professor, but he is now in charge of administering the money, and the civil service and the politician, together with all this, he is the one now administering it. He didn't learn it from the university, but he may have practical knowledge of this. So let us, going forward, let our government know that if you want to go to university and bring a professor, relate it to his practical knowledge and practical ability to deliver on that thing you are bringing him for. Because if he doesn't have experience, he's going to start learning from day one on that job to do that practical work.
Yeah, very, 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 very cogent and germane point you have just made there. That didn't even occur to me. You just opened my eyes to that, because while you were just speaking, I went back memory lane to remember all our electoral administrators. I remember truly all of them. I don't know if all of that. The one for during Shagari is 1979. I don't know. Was he a professor? I can't remember. But that of Humphrey Wonsu was a professor, right? Yes, Humphrey Wonsu,
Yes.
Iwu professor. So Jega, all of yeah. Truly, I don't get it. Why exactly? Obviously, it's been deliberate. If all of them have been professors, that means it's something deliberate. So, and they have, honestly, you just made a point, and it's not about the academic achievements. It's just about something, everything. Now, when leadership is dynamic, leadership does not have a standard yardstick, a sort of. It's something that anybody can fall into, but you don't have to be an academician to be a leader. You don't have to be a professional to be a leader. Leadership, even a common the traders, some illiterates, even illiterates who did not even school, actually can actually be good leaders, better leaders than some professors. You just made a very germane point, very important point. Thank you so much for that point. And that is it. So that being said,